Thank you for staying with us. Despite efforts from the Central Bank of Nigeria to alleviate the burden of cash scarcity, long queues are still seen across many banks in Nigeria. On the 3rd of March, the Supreme Court ruled that the old Naira notes should remain in circulation till the 31st of December, and the CBN followed through by ordering the banks to make the notes available for Nigerians to spend. While banks may have started disbursing old notes, they say it will take about 2 weeks for things to normalize and for Nigerians to easily walk into the bank or visit any automated teller machine to withdraw money. For the Apex Bank, they have begun to monitor the compliance of the banks across major cities in Nigeria to ensure speedy circulation of the old Naira notes. Well, joining us in the studio is the CEO of Finance with Mukhtar Mohammed. Good morning. Thank you for joining us at TVC Breakfast.
It's good to see you. Thank you.
I wonder if you've been able to walk into the bank and get some cash.
I've not been to the bank since January.
And you haven't tried since the NLC threatened and the CBN says they
no,
are
I've seen people going to try,
all right.
And they've come back with not so much good a story. The queues are still there. Cash is still being rationed. If you go to your bank, you get, is it 20,000 depending on the bank or 10,000. Then if you go through the teller machine, you get 5,000 and 10,000 depending on the bank again. So definitely.
So one would say it's an improvement from the regular the initial 2,000,
yeah,
1,000 that
yes, it's an improvement.
Nigerians were getting.
It's an improvement, but again, what we are seeing now, we are not even seeing the new notes any longer.
Right.
So what we are seeing now is the circulation of the old note. So it's just like the CBN is saying, since the Supreme Court says you should circulate just the old and the new, maybe they only read where the old, they didn't look at the new.
So you think the CBN is deliberately holding back the redesigned notes? Is that what you think?
I don't know, but again, if you look at it again, the old notes, what you normally see in the old note now is the 1,000 and the 200 notes. You don't see the 500. Then if you have to see the new note, you only see the 500. You don't see the 2,000, the 200, and you don't see the 1,000. So they need to come out, tell us why. Is it that we have so much of the old note in the 1,000, so we are beginning to see how we can dispense of them before we bring in the new notes? Or do we have so much old notes also in the 200s, and then we don't have old notes in the 500? Because from every available ATM machines, or when you go to the bank to pick, it's always the 1,000 Naira note you get there. You don't get the 500. And neither did you get the 200 or the 200 new notes. And some of these notes are not even looking good. Most probably the 1,000 and the 200, they are not looking good at all.
You mean the new notes?
The old notes.
The old
okay,
notes.
the old notes. Yeah, of course. That's why they're old. Because they're being old, you don't expect them to look the best that they can. In fact, Nigerians have complained the redesigned notes doesn't give esteem to the currency, the outlook. But that's a totally different discussion. However, the point is, what do you think is responsible for this unavailable cash? The CBN has said, everybody, all banks, come and collect cash. And in fact, they were instructed to work Saturday and Sunday so they can, amass the volume of cash, that should go around. Yet, Nigerians are still not able to see the cash as it was, because the Supreme Court's judgment has broken all the barriers. So we should have all of the currencies exactly the same way we've been having it before. But it's still not so.
I think you need to look at it. If you're in Lagos, we are in Lagos, when there is traffic caused by maybe a broken down truck, you see that even after clearing that truck, you still have backlog. So because of the traffic caused by the shortage, you don't expect within 48 hours for you to clear up that. And when we're talking about, we still have the monitoring policy too. You don't just have to pump in all the money into the system, because that means it would defeat every reason for monitoring, your reason for even in the first place
mopping up
cash. But I don't call it mopping up cash again. I call it you confiscate our cash. Because
what's the difference
is
between mopping up and confiscation?
Yeah, mopping up is you look at the economy, you look at inflation, you said, okay, let's reduce cash by maybe 10%, 20%, because every economy in the world, how good an economy is depending on how much cash you have in circulation. So when you begin to reduce cash in an economy, you are trying to control a situation, but you don't reduce it by 235%, like what the CBN did. So what you did was you confiscate our cash, and you are telling us, I give you 1,000 Naira, and you are giving me back 50 Naira. And you said, okay, the other 950 Naira, I should go and look for other means to transact my business in it. And you didn't create that platform for those means. Those platforms that you say are digital, they cannot tick all by 950. So I'm short of doing, today I will do 200, next tomorrow I will do. So that's the reason for the queue, you see, because the person that goes to the ATM machine to withdraw just 10,000, then goes there, spend it. By the end of that day, I spent 5,000. He's thinking, oh, if by next morning I finish 5,000, so I will be short of cash the next day. And we must not forget that our informal sector is largely driven by cash. Yeah. And is the key driver of the Nigerian economy, whether the CBN like it or not. That is the sector that creates more jobs in the Nigerian economy. So definitely that sector is driven by cash. For you to start that schedule of cash for almost 3 months, it won't take you 48 hours or 1 week to bring that sector back to reality. And again, some Nigerians also are still apprehensive. Yes. So what they do is that they go today, they collect 10,000, they go tomorrow, they collect 10,000. They, as much as they can collect, they collect and keep at home because they don't want to be caught in those situations any longer. So it's all boiled down on the attitude of CBN and also some attitude of Nigeria. Now, you see, when you come up with a policy, monetary policy, is to create a market. That's innovation. Whatever policy, you drive innovation. From innovations, then you create profit for those business. From those business, you create a culture. And that culture tends to live longer than even the innovation and the profit. Now, what CBN have done is create a market, and people are profiting from it. And some people want to make their market a culture. And that is, this must not change because we are making so much out of it. And unfortunately, again, the bank as an institution, some of their staffs are involved in this.
Right.
So you have created an artificial market, and people must try as much as possible to strive in that market before they will create another leeway for things to flow normally. So it's just the mindset of every businessman. A lot of people have what we call in local power, have cash out.
Yes.
So, and they are not ready to let go immediately because you have created a market for them by the shortage. So the CBN really need to pump in cash into the system. But again, they have to be mindful because inflation is already double digits. So they need also to be cautious of that. So they are trying to balance up, but unfortunately.
So how does the pumping in of the cash impact the inflation?
You see, when I have more cash, I spend more. And again, like Nigeria, Nigeria, we have a lot of people. When you have more cash, you spend so much, especially on luxury goods and services, because you have cash. You have enough cash to meet your needs and want to go as far as getting your wants. So you are pumping in so much cash in the system. At a point, those cash are just there, idle. And so what do some people do? Some people that are smart, they will not use that cash to go into maybe other forms of investment. And then once you put that cash, other form of investment, you have little investment, and you have so much cash, pushing those investments with astronomically going high. And at that point, you are creating another bottleneck because it will come a point that those people now want, okay, those are my investment, I want to cash out. And so you now see a lot of cash in circulation, and at that time, demands are low. And so what happened? You create an inflationary pressure on your economy. So the way to do that is that you mop up those liquidity so that people only use that money for what they want. What they need. So you are not keeping up liquidity, like I'm saying, you are keeping some at home, you are keeping some here, you are taking some to fly abroad, you are buying luxury goods and everything. So that does not help the economy. But in a buoyant economy, you need cash to be in circulation. But you must be able to manage the cash in circulation, making sure that it's not a cash that is going out to meet other needs that are not.
So as it is now, how can the CBN manage both injecting and also ensuring it is monitoring and mopping up what is not necessary?
I think if you have withdrawn about, if you're in percentage, if you have withdrawn about 235% out of circulation, then you need to be thinking, how much of this percentage can I bring in? Unfortunately, it has had a negative impact on the economy. This is a very good policy, I keep saying it. The cashless policy is the way to go, but it must be implemented with human face, especially in an economy that is driven by the informal sector. So that injection now, what they need to do, they are between the devil and the deep sea because it has not worked. The only way that this policy has worked, one, is that you have more Nigerians owning bank accounts, maybe due to pressure. Secondly, you have the fintech industry coming up about to, they are enjoying it. You at least try to maintain exchange rate volatility at 750, which people will say, well, it's still high. But then, remember where we are coming from. That's the thing. But again, what are the negativity? You have killed a growing and vibrant informal sector in Nigeria. You have created joblessness. A lot of people don't have jobs again, especially if you were somebody that was dealing on the POS terminal. You legitimately, you go to the bank, collect your 150 to 100.
But they are the ones cashing out.
They are the ones cashing out. How many percentage of them are cashing out? A lot of POS operators went under because some of them could not pay that high fee to get those cash. So most of them went under.
Right.
So most of the people that you've seen are people that are highly connected with, like conniving with bank officials to get those cash out. So when you look at that now, and the CBN, I think what they need to do is to think of injecting those liquidity into the system. And also when you create stability, then you can do gradual mopping. And in terms of gradual mopping, you have now built that digital platform. Because the challenge why Nigerians are complaining is because you created a platform that did not have the capability to take all our transactions. Where maybe we're only 20 million that were using the digital platform. Then you brought in about another 60 to 70 million to join us. So that's why you had that loop. And again, when you look at the fintech, what we've seen during these 2 weeks, months of this challenge, we've seen a fintech company that strive, fine, but the back end of cybersecurity is not there.
Yes.
A lot of Nigerians have lost their money because of fraudsters hacking into that system or creating another system whereby somebody told me he calls customer care of a particular platform. Somebody else picked it up. It wasn't even the platform, but he got the number from the platform and then gave his details, and before he finished, his money was wiped out. So we need to look at infrastructure and we need to look at cybersecurity. The Nigerian interbank settlement, how much of that capacity has the CBN be able to build into it, because the CBN owns that place. Now, for the banks, they've enjoyed relatively profit from this. Even if you go to the fintech, I'll send somebody say, the banks are going to suffer from it. I said, we need to wait for their first quarter result and see the non-interest income they've been able to make. Because from these fees, whether you go through the fintech or you go to the deposit bank, is the one that you have to use as your base to go into the. So they are still earning. There is a sharing formula in the fee. Yeah. So we need a lot of work to do.
This cashless policy that we often talk about. Let's have a clear understanding. When we talk about cashless policy, are we referring to a situation where there's no cash again? Everybody has to use online mode of transaction, or what does it translate to the cashless policy that we often talk about?
When we talk about cashless policy, there's no cashless economy in the world. There's no 100% cashless economy in the world. Right. Now, when it comes to cashless policy, it's actually for the convenience of even the customers. Instead of you driving to the bank, you can stay into the comfort of your home. That's why we are in the fourth industrial revolution. We are coming up with revolutions to make things easy for ourselves. That's why the cashless came into play. But again, even in the bigger of biggest of economy in the world, you still have cash play a role. A lot of people will tell you that if you go to a developed economy, say, I don't use credit card. I rather pay cash, either through my card is cash loaded. I don't use credit card, and nobody's going to fine you for not using credit card. It's also it improves your credit rating. So now, when we talk of cashless is not just all about the transaction that we make. Cashless also goes in the part that you give people credit, but these credits are done digitally. Like it's done in America, you have a credit card. Say the credit card is about maybe $1,000. You don't go to an ATM machine and be able to withdraw that $1,000. You say, "Oh, with my credit card." No, you can only use it on platforms whereby they are digital platform use it. So that's what we call cashless. Cashless is not just all about just I have my credit, I have my ATM that has my money. There's also the other side of credit. Now, because Nigerian credit system or credit rating or credit situation is only meant for the formal sector. You don't have a lot of Nigerians having credit cards. It's the formal sectors that have credit card. And we understand that because of our peculiarity in terms of people can move from Lagos to Lokoja and you don't even know they have moved. So all those systems are not created because of this data issue that we've not gotten sorted out. But cashless is all about comfort. If you go to banks in developed nations, you don't see the crowd there because everybody is just doing it at the comfort. But still, if you go to any big, or even the biggest of biggest places in the stores in America, they will ask you, do you want to pay cash or do you want to use your card? So no economy is it's just going to be cashless. But again, why they call it cashless, you should have been able to develop a platform whereby if I decide to use my card or any of these digital, it should be seamless. But there are a lot of people that still want to use cash in transactions. So cashless doesn't mean 100%, but it means that maybe between 70 to 80% of people will be beginning to use digital platform. They enjoy it. Some people feel good when they hold their cash. So you can't deprive them of them. You see, what we are looking at, the CBN and the Supreme Court, we are not even looking at the judgment the Supreme Court has made holistically. The Supreme Court said CBN does not have a right to impose fine on any Nigerian for withdrawing above whatever limit they set because they are not a court of law. They cannot fine anybody. It's only a competent court of law that can fine me for an offense, not the CBN. The CBN Act also does not even give room that if you withdraw more than this, you'll be fine. So what people are saying, oh, we are not happy, we can go and withdraw, it's also a follow-up from the Supreme Court judgment, whereby the CBN is now saying you can withdraw any amount you want to withdraw across the counter. So we must get that clear that this policy has come. It has given us a little bit of enlightenment to Nigerians. We know what is our right now as regard the monetary policy. Even if we say, you don't want to carry cash along for security reasons, especially in Nigerians. Even in other developed countries, they tell you that one of the reasons why they want you to go cashless is for security reasons. Because if you take my card, even abroad, there's a limit you can withdraw with my card. And if I'm able to get through to my bank, then they will stop you. But unfortunately, the system we operate here has not even helped in that area because I give an example. Somebody goes to a POS terminal, withdraw somebody money and send it out and collect it from a POS terminal. And you go to the bank and the bank sees that transaction. That, your money was withdrawn, your money was moved from your account or was collected from a POS terminal. And the bank will tell you that we cannot even intervene unless you go to the police.
Right.
So those are the security end that we are saying CBN bank
to improve upon.
You should improve upon. You are in the comfort of your house, you are receiving alerts that your money is going. You call center and they are not picking. And when you call, they are saying, okay, when did you do your last transaction? Okay, this, that. They say, okay, we'll do it. And here you are still sitting there, they come for you, they are still withdrawing your money.
And sometimes they just conclude, you must have given your PIN to someone else.
And you didn't give your PIN to anybody.
Yeah.
I've been in Nigeria, sitting in short, I was even in the bank, where somebody was using my own ATM to withdraw in Dubai.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was in Nigeria with my card. So I went to the bank and I told them, look, my card is not missing. Neither did I have any. They returned back my money to me. So that's one area Nigerians should know. Once you are on your right, and thank God for the social media, we've seen a lot of people, money being fraudulently removed, and they have all these things, and they go to the social media, and the banks have returned those money, even if not all cases. Yeah. But you must know that if your card is not missing, if your PIN is, you have every right, because every ATM machine all over the world has camera. Yeah. So whenever you do a withdrawal, any part in the world, the bank can access it and know who does that withdrawal, if you are the one or somebody close to you. And they know when your card is cloned. So we need to improve upon that. And the bank also should improve, especially with the POS. The POS terminal has become, the POS operator are not supposed to operate. They were supposed to meet little demands of 10,000, 20,000. Why are they not the one meeting demand of 1 million being withdrawn from a POS terminal? It's a different thing from point of sale. Maybe I'm buying a product worth 1 million and I pay with my card. Then going to a POS terminal, then you withdraw cash of 1 million.
Yeah.
That is where the CBN regulation. They have to regulate well. Because now you are giving an license to about 17 POS operators now.
Yeah.
How are you going to regulate it? Because the fintech industry must be careful. We must be careful because it's the latest technology. We mustn't forget what happened in 2000, the dot-com era, where a lot of companies came in with technology, and at the end of the day, it didn't last up because of lack of regulation. Yeah. So they must also know that this fintech company should be regulated well. Otherwise, we go to the banking crisis we have in 2008, where a lot of people will begin to lose their money. So they must come up with strategy on how to monitor these people and how to make sure that Nigerians are comfortable and safe doing their transaction in the digital space.
Right. Now, the NLC had planned to go on strike. I don't know if they will do that because they say they are going to have a meeting today to get reports of how things are going with regards to the dispensing of cash across the country. Even though the Labour Minister, Chris Ngige, had tried to wade in, and the CBN has, tried to pacify the NLC to not go on strike because they are doing all they can to ensure that Nigerians get access to cash. What are your impressions with regards to this, matter, NLC coming in and we beginning to see the CBN act? Because they're saying that when they get the report today, they will decide if they should go ahead tomorrow. There are those who are saying the NLC should continue with the strike so as to serve perhaps as a warning to the government.
And strike will do the economy no good any longer. As it stands now, the economy is already in a bad shape. And you must know that the people that suffered in this cashless crunch are mostly the informal sector. And they are not, labor is always thinking of, that man that could not, that civil servant that didn't go to work. But there are a lot of people that were on the way, that used to what we call the daily income people, the informal sector, and they've suffered so much. So by the time you go on strike again, it's still that sector that will suffer more. Because at the end of the month, whether they go on strike, maybe for 1 week, they'll collect their salary at the end of the month fully.
Right.
But a little business owner is suffering from that. He has to try to recover from that 1 week or 2 weeks. So the Nigerian Labour Congress should please trade cautiously. Like I said, the informal sector is already destroyed. So we are trying to revamp that sector. So going on strike will do no good at the moment. What they need to put more of those pressure to make sure that CBN bring more cash available. And if they have to go around, in some states, like I heard, states like Ekiti, it seems to be returning to a little bit of stability, maybe because of the population there. I think the main key states that have challenges now are states like Lagos, states like Rivers, states like, Abuja also. It's easing in Abuja because I saw people go into the bank, collect, So they need to know that it's not Lagos, Abuja, Rivers, or Kano that are Nigerians. All of us are Nigerians. So they should trade cautiously and look at other places that have been able to, things are beginning to return back to gradually. I think the CBN is saying within 2 weeks, we will see stability. I think they should be cautious and wait and see whether in 2 weeks' time we will not see stability. About the increase in Ngige intervening, Labour and Ngige, in short, Ngige intervene in any situation, worsen the situation. So they shouldn't allow him intervene so that we have peace.
Well, this Ngige statement, well, it's okay. Now, the central bank has threatened that POS operators who charge exorbitant prices for services, especially for withdrawals and all of that, will be prosecuted. We've seen instances where POS operators charge as much as 2,000 or 4,000 for a 10,000 naira withdrawal, and so on. And of course, one would say that is highly illegal. That is extortion, extorting people. But what does CBN actually have the capacity, if it has to? Of course, it has the authority to say, but in the practical aspect of it, does CBN have the capacity to stop the POS in the villages or the POS on the corner of the street from doing all of those?
It depends. Like I said, I'm talking about monitoring. I'm talking about regulation. Sometimes when you see some of the POS people in the street, they are vendors. They are vendors. They get it. Maybe somebody has a license. The bigger people have the license, and they are the one that, in turn, give them to operate in the streets and the villages. It's not those people that you see there that actually have the. Now you are talking about that's why we talk about market innovation. We are talking about 17 people giving them POS. It doesn't mean it's only 17 of them. So it's just like when you give license to MTN and others. When you give them license, you still have sales point people that deals and people that stays to sell. Those that will go and buy from the main distributor, take it to the street and sell his card. So that's the way it works. So what is going to happen is that if you are caught culpable, that means in terms of your operation, maybe one of the people that you send were the one involved in these sharp practices, then your license will be revoked. So after the CBN will deal with the big people that they gave their license. In terms of the big people that also give those licenses to the smaller people to operate. So definitely, I think they have the power to revoke the license, just like what happened during the Buhari change. Okay, then the CBN can say, we have revoked your license, and we will no more be involved in any dealing with you. So if you are going to do it privately, anybody that deals with you on his own risk. Because, again, it's a platform. That's why we're talking about monitoring. I think when you give so much license, we have over 1,000 POS operators.
Right.
When you give so much license, do you have the manpower to monitor?
Do we?
We don't. Because if we do, we won't get to the crisis point we are. Because how do you create those? How many staff do we have in CBN all over the country? So I've given license to about 1,000 operators. I mean, I'm just giving an example, and I know it's more than that. We have more than 1,000 POS operators all over Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So you need to create, you need to begin to think, okay, it's all about efficiency. And the POS operators were not meant to operate in where there is bank. They were meant to operate in the rural area. It was all about financial inclusion.
That was the ideal
That
idea.
was the ideal.
Okay.
But now they have become almost like bank.
Yes.
They operate beside the bank.
During this, they now operate beside the bank. They operate beside major filling stations.
Yeah.
They just,
They're
that is
everywhere.
what we are talking about monitoring. The POS operators are supposed to operate in where you don't have
Banking services.
banking services. The whole idea was, before they told bank to make sure you put your ATM machine in every corner. Then they came and said, look, you cannot have your ATM machine maybe I've forgotten how much, meters away from the bank for security reasons. That's why they now came up, okay, you can't have your ATM machine in the rural area. Who goes there in security and everything? Okay, let's create a platform, POS operator. The POS operator, you see, we've had a lot of policies on our side. We wouldn't have gotten to POS operators. In America, they have over almost 500 banks. But you have local banks. When I mean bank, I'm not talking about the big banks.
Like community or microfinance.
Microfinance banks. What we are seeing the POS operator doing is what the microfinance bank should be doing. Right. I should have a microfinance bank in my village. That was the whole idea. Remember, I started with the name of community bank. Then later on, they moved it to microfinance bank. And now, after the all the POS operator, community bank, they are also supposed to meet the need of the places that they are not banks. Banks are not able to get there. And we are coming to the extent whereby now in Kenya, they don't even operate physical presence in those banks again. They are telecom companies. Safaricom has improved upon it that the oldest woman in Kenya has an enabled phone to do transactions. And these transactions are seamless. Now, Nigeria, we have given license to some of our telecommunication. They have not been able to start fully yet. Hopefully, when they start, we'll begin to see some sorts of synergy. But the challenge, that's why we talk, digital is not just about only your transfer. It's bigger than just doing the digital transfer in the comfort. It's all about embracing of financial inclusion to everybody and also help your credit rating. Because by the time we have digital, we're able to know those that are then corruption also, you stop corruption. And I'm happy that they said, I think it's supposed to be by the end of March or April, that government institutions will all convert to digital platform. They will no more be allowed to withdraw money over the counter. Those are digital. Those are digital cashless. It's also begin to revolutionize your economy and it's another means of tackling corruption. Instead of somebody going to the bank to collect 600 million and it says, I'm collecting it to go and pay local government people's salary, it's going to stop. Everybody, at that point, that means making sure that everybody in Nigeria have an account.
Right.
So it's a bigger picture. But unfortunately, I think the CBN, when you have politics play along with your economy, you have those challenges.
Can we separate both?
Yeah, we need to separate both in the sense that you cannot have economy without politics. But again, you must make sure that the fundamental decision of your economy is purely economical, not political. And in this decision, the fundamental reason for this decision is more political and security
than
economical. And again, if it is political and security, if it is economical and security, they go closely hand in hand. But once you put the political on there, you are now bringing the politicians into your economy, the economy of your nation. Remember, that was the reason why we say the independence of the CBN must be sacred. That's why the former president, the President Obasanjo decided to come up with the CBN Act that they should be separate. They should not be under the Ministry of Finance so that they can take independent decision. The only place that the CBN is not allowed to take independent decision is what we've just seen happen. And that has to do with the Naira redesign. When anything that has to come to currency, you need to liaise with the president. And you see when the political side was involved in a CBN decision, you see the challenges that it has caused us. If you look at the MPC meeting, inflation, MPC, a hike in rates, that they are not political, they are gone seamlessly. Nobody is going to the street to protest. Everybody seems okay, they have made this, how do we benefit? How does it help my business? But when it came to this very situation, the politician took the center seat. And that is why we have the problem that we had. The policy was not well thought out, good policy, but allowing politics to come in between this policy finally kills the policy.
Right. Now, earlier you mentioned something about we coming up with policies that have a human face. Now we are where we are, and we need to move forward. We're looking at December the 31st. What do you expect the CBN to do to gain the trust of the people? Because that will also show the human faceness of the whole runnings of the CBN. And what in general should the CBN do at this time to get people to buy into the policy as we head towards December the 31st?
The first thing we will ask ourselves is, are we sure by December 31st we still have the same management of CBN?
All right.
Okay.
That's one angle that we are not looking at.
That's another
That's true.
totally different
That's
thing.
true.
We are not looking at that angle. So for me, I hope, based on the act, the CBN governor has a tenure
Yes.
of 5 years. He just got his tenure renewed. But again, the CBN, the same as the CBN governor also can be removed by 2/3 majority of the National Assembly on the recommendation of the president. And also the CBN governors could also be asked to resign.
Right.
So
Any of that could
any
happen.
of that could happen. But realistically, I think they've given them a long time to clear the mess that they have put Nigeria in. Because if you were using 3 months, now you have almost like 7 to 8 months to make sure we have the new notes available to all Nigerians. I expect by looking at it, I expect by May, June, we should have the new note 90% in circulation. Hopefully. Because it's not rocket science to print these notes. One. Secondly, you need to continue to enlighten Nigerians the need to do their transaction electronically so that the pressure on physical cash will begin to reduce. Now, what we've seen is, even when we went digital, remember, cashless or digital or electronically, you were choosing some particular state to start as pilot project.
Yes.
So you did. So after that, there was no any enlightenment. It was even the communication companies that will come out with short code, enlighten Nigerians. The banks or the CBN was not really involved. So it's time for them to get involved and begin to push those ideas to Nigeria that, look, this is the benefit of going cashless. This is the benefit. This is the benefit.
Right.
Get into it. It will help. And on the long run, it definitely reduce your cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And every Nigerian wants its cost of doing business to come down so that it can make more profit.
Absolutely.
And by the time you start making profit, you have created a culture. Once Nigeria embrace the digital space, it has a snowball effect in every area of our life. But we must look at 2 points that CBN really need to work at. Improve the infrastructure and also improve the back end of cybersecurity.
All right, we have to leave the conversation here. We must thank you, CEO of Finance with Mukhtar Mohammed, for your time on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming.